Hello everyone, I have here a brick-built set from a company called Pantasy, like fantasy but with a P. This is the Retro Gramophone, although I don't think there is any such thing as a non-retro gramophone out there. This has 646 pieces and the retail price is $70 US. I bought it on Amazon for $55 because they've always got coupons and all kinds of discounts that stack on top of each other. But for practical purposes, let's look at the retail price for fairness of $70 US and take a closer look. The build of this was pretty good. The packaging is nice. The instructions are pretty easy to follow. It's got numbered bags. The instructions are full color. I want to say I got a little bit confused maybe twice along the way, but I chalked that up 90% at least to my own just not paying attention. Just overall, everything went together nicely. The fit and finish of the pieces is generally good. I will show you any exceptions to that. But the biggest standout here is this gold, this beautiful coated gold for these petals here. I don't know if these petals are a new piece that they made specifically to use with this kit only, but I'm perfectly good if that is the case, because they add a lot of value, I think, in as opposed to trying to make something from smaller, more common pieces. I mean, this really adds to the display of it. And I feel like if it was broken up with smaller parts, with a lot of joints in between, it just would not have been as nice overall. Now, speaking of gold, coming around to here, we have some normal pieces, some not specialized parts with some good quality coated, or we often call them drum lacquered in this space, parts of common shapes and sizes that we've seen a bunch of times. But these are so well done. These are shockingly well done, much better than I have experienced in the past. They are just pretty much perfectly coated. The color is consistent. The only color that is inconsistent here is with these. So this is a slightly darker, slightly more orangish color of gold for these petals up here compared to this. This is all the same. And the rest of the gold pieces in here are the same. So again, I do think that these pieces may have been designed and implemented specifically for this set only. Moving down, they've got some details inside as well. Some musicana, as well as a little kind of like minifigure scaled version of this. Over there, a little gramophone, maybe rotate that around just a little bit, which also has a printed record down in there, which is cool. And speaking of printed records, I mean, this shocked me. I was not expecting this at all. It doesn't actually play, but it's actually dual-sided, if you can believe it. So you've got your little needle over here. You can carefully set that up and down. You want it to ride just a little bit above the surface. You can also adjust this in and out. It's not going to automatically feed in and out. However, the deck will spin with this. Now, the gear train inside of here is smooth. Oops, just got a little bit loose right there. There we go. So I don't have this tightened down all the way here, this bushing. You can really crank it down, but leaving it loose does an interesting thing. It has a little bit of inertia, so it actually is slow at first. Then when you stop, I've got this on there a little bit too much. You want to again have this floating just above. But I found that when it stops, sometimes it'll continue moving a little bit. It just feels a little bit organic. But the gear train in there is smooth. It's light. It moves with the greatest of ease. It's much lower in friction than what I'm used to. And here's another feature that you probably saw going on there. Shows some musical masters in there, some classical masters, more printed pieces and more of these beautiful gold pieces. Look at that. Okay. I don't mind it. Does it 100% make sense? I don't know. It's a gimmick. I think it's a fine gimmick. And then over here is your I believe volume control is what this represents. It's also geared up for some reason. I don't know if that needed to be. I don't know if this, I've never used a gramophone myself. I don't know if this is how it actually works. And if the other thing is supposed to do something, it doesn't in this case. It's only this one over here on the side. Another printed piece here, and more gold all the way down there at the feet. This is somewhat, sorry about that. Somewhat hollow, but not entirely hollow. This is the most plain section of it back here. So we've got some panels there, but all in all, it's filled with functions, I think, pretty well. I'm not sure if I called out these right here, these side prints. I'm having a little bit of trouble just because of the glossiness with the focus there, but you've got 4 of these, one for each corner. And this is one spot where the quality of the pieces isn't ideal. The tiles here have a little bit of scuff to them, to the surface. Hopefully you can see that just a little bit. They're not perfectly shiny all the way around. So that's the worst thing here. Definitely still perfectly fine fit, but the finish on the top is not the best for the tiles in particular. Let me show you this record by itself as well. I'm gonna get that out of the way, right? Pop just this bushing off the top. Oh yeah, they have a bunch of black colored, what we would call like Technic building pieces, which is something I don't see enough of these days. But this is double-sided, 2 different prints on there, which I completely did not expect. I mean, I didn't expect this to be its own piece at all. I guess they could have made it actually have music in there. I don't know what you would have played it on, but just as a 78 or something like that. It's the only thing would have been significantly nicer. So if you have this a little bit loose, then it's not going to catch that well. It's going to take a while for it to accelerate, but eventually it gets there, you see? And then has a little bit of inertia where it'll keep going afterwards, which I feel is kind of interesting. But if you wanted to immediately, yeah, it just feels kind of cool. But if you wanted to immediately start going, then just tighten this down, just push it down a little bit farther. You have more of a direct drive between them. Your choice. And these are the leftover pieces, which include some interesting things. You've got the black colored and also hard, not softer plastic, but hard plastic half bushing here. This is a half pin with stud on top, open stud, and it's perfectly clear. That's an interesting thing. And then this is a sprue with push gates. In other words, you can just push the pieces off. You don't need to cut them or anything like that, of a ring. But this is a ring that, unlike some rings that you may have encountered previously, this actually has a little bit of clutch power to it, so you can use it to connect to things. And it's black, and yeah, they use a couple of them in the build of this. It's just a nice piece to have. And this is their brick separator for what it's worth. Look, it's printed. But yeah, it's just that, pretty familiar stuff here. All right, let's talk about value. Again, I paid around $55 US for this, but I'm going to go with the suggested retail price of $70 to be fair. $70 US for 670 some pieces. This volume of stuff, I feel like the leading brand in the brick-based construction thing market would charge probably, just a guess, probably like $90 would be a guess. Maybe a lot more, but I'm going to be nice and say realistically $90 for this amount of stuff. But they would not include all this beautiful gold, or all the prints, or this specialized one-off record piece that's double-sided and everything. A lot of people don't like specialized pieces and think specialized piece is bad, but this is good. This record piece is awesome. The inclusion of this is deluxe. It brings me joy. I'm very happy with it, even though I'm not going to be able to use it in a rebuild, a mock, or rebrickable to turn it into a house. Most of the people buying this are not going to try to turn it into a house. They're going to build it. They're going to enjoy that build experience. And they're going to put it on a shelf, and then they're going to enjoy having it and looking at it every once in a while. And so this is the point where I do that thing that I've been doing for years that so many people hate and hate on me for. Usually when I buy and build a brick-based thing that turns into a replica of a real life thing, the brick-based version costs many times more than the real thing. So why not just get the real thing? And then you have an actual piece of history, especially when it comes to retro stuff. Get yourself an actual piece of history that you can put on a shelf. Maybe you can even use it every once in a while. Get a working one. In this case, the economics are different. Also, the physical realities. This is scaled down. This is not a full-size gramophone. And also, gramophones are very, very old. They're antiques. There aren't that many of them out there. Limited supply. Price is in a different galaxy compared to this for a decent one that actually works and everything. So that's out of the question. However, I didn't go on Amazon, looked around for modern replica gramophones that are Bluetooth speakers. So sound actually comes out of them. And I found that almost exactly this same size, you can get the object that works And it's almost exactly the same price, to around $60 US. So it's not the standard situation that I usually get hated on for. It's even worse than that. No, it's better than that. It depends on which direction you're coming from. In this case, it's the same price for the same size, same basic look. Neither one is the real thing, but one of them makes noise. One of them, has that function to it. And then this one is brick built. So you get to choose your gimmick between the two. And I think that's super fair. I think that completely makes sense. If I got the Amazon Bluetooth speaker one, it's cheap plastic, maybe it'll last a long time. Great. But ultimately it's just a cheap plastic scaled down replica that I'm going to stick on my shelf and say every once in a while, family comes over. Hey, look, I'm retro. It's plastic. Oh, but it also does this. With this, it's a similar situation, except look, I'm retro. It's plastic, but it also does this. And look, it's made of pieces and you got these things on the inside. So with either one, you have a gimmick. You have comparable price, comparable size, comparable presentation as well. Hey, I think that's a fair comparison to make. I personally can easily say, hey, I'd rather go with this because, hey, it's cool. You can put a Bluetooth speaker in anything, but this, is actually built up. As a matter of fact, you can add a Bluetooth speaker to this, I'm sure. At least put it underneath or something, if you just want that. But at least it's not the typical situation where the brick-based thing costs, like I said, many times more than a real thing. So all in all, across the board, I feel like value just makes all kinds of sense with this. And I hope that I've brought you some value with this video as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.